Hey everybody, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Rod Fitch. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Why I was right on a lot of my picks and where I was wrong. Where I was right, we're gonna go to the NFL, Bills and Dolphins, and we all see that 48 to 20. It's funny, it was a reversal of what happened last week to the Dolphins. That Bills put up 48, didn't put 70 because the Dolphins did compete. But I tell you what the Bills did. They ran the ball. Artavius Murray ran good. James Cook ran the ball. They ran the ball in between the tackles. And what that did, now your safeties are coming in. Now you're getting man to man. They have some good corners, but they're missing Jalen Ramsey. And somehow Diggs got on the other side instead of Xavier, the other corner. He found the backup corner, and boy, Stephon Diggs went to work. 6 receptions for 120 yards, and it was a thing of beauty, especially the 55-yard one where he broke several tackles, bad tackles, and scored. Whew, the Bills were fine. And Josh Allen played a smart. If you get this out of Josh Allen, you get to the Super Bowl because Von Miller's not even there, and they're very fast. It's something I did underestimate. I did pick the Bills to win. I didn't know how they're going to play the Dolphins. I didn't know the speed of the whole defense, the linebackers, Rousseau, and the pass rushers, and the ability to bump and run with throwing Waddle and throwing Hill off their routes. And what I mean is they got physical up front, which you could get burned deep, but they were quick enough to recover, and they took away those outside elements and they threw Tua off his rhythm. And this is a rhythm team. And they threw him off their rhythm by being physical. They were laying some, I mean, legally, they were right there on the edge, but legally, they were laying some licks on Miami. I think that was kind of the game plan. We're going to play fast and physical. We're going to punch them around. They got put up 70 points. We're going to see if they're still sky high. We're going to take them down in a couple notches. We're going to see when we throw haymakers, are they going to just recover and throw them back? And they didn't. And I'm going to tell you, they put pressure on Tua. And there's something that would concern me going forward with the Miami Dolphins is Tua's a rhythm guy, goes back, quick rhythm. By that time, he's taking a 3-step drop. Hill and Waddle and Barrios, those dudes are open. And their running game is solid. But what happened is Mostert and A-Chain got 100 yards. A-Chain ran well, but Mostert got hit in the mouth. He's their engine. He has 7 rushes for 9 yards. And he felt that. They were tearing him up. And they let A-Chain run because their goal was to not let Tyreek Hill, who had 3 receptions for 58 yards, and Waddle 4 receptions for 46, nothing. They let Barrios and Smythe do what they're going to do. They're going to hurt you a little bit, but not enough to really hurt the Bills. And I'm going to tell you, what the Bills did is the blueprint for them going forward if they can. Run that football down Miami's throat. Run it down anyone's throat because they're going to be playing the Cowboys. They got the Eagles coming up. They got some tough games coming up. So, and they got to go to South Beach later. That's going to be interesting. And what they did is they ran that ball really well. Latavius Murray ran it good. He had a nice 29-yard run. Josh Allen was a controlled runner. He wasn't running reckless, diving and trying to run over people. He was smart in his running because he did run for a touchdown. And, the most underrated wide receiver in all of football may be Gabe Davis. He's always getting touchdowns. He's always getting open in the end zone. That's why he can't go all crazy with all these double teams with Cook, because they got other guys. Like Kincaid played well and Knox. So if you're trying to stop, see, Buffalo's offense, they showed we're every bit as good as the Dolphins. Yeah, you put up 70. We put up darn near 50 on you guys now. And Gabe Davis, and especially in big games, he's really good at making plays in the end zone. He plays very well. He always has good games against the Chiefs. So if they ever have to see the Chiefs, or have to go to Kansas City, or Kansas City has to come up to Buffalo, That's going to be very, very interesting if they could deal with Gabe Davis. He's a guy that should have scored the winning touchdown when they played Kansas City when Buffalo broke down the last 13 seconds, which was ridiculous. Um, but I hated the one thing that hurt is they lost their cornerback. Tre'Davious White probably got an Achilles injury, and that could hurt them. They got a nice secondary. Now you have to put in your backup. And can the rest of those guys rally? But Von Miller coming there, and if he's Von Miller, you could probably make that up because of the ridiculous pass rush they have and the speed they have and how they can play the run and pass very well. This defense is, I mean, even in the game against the Jets, Josh Allen imploded so bad that they could, even when they were playing good defense, they only give up one deep drive against the Jets. Their defense has been fantastic, and I can't wait to see the matchup at South Beach because Miami's going to be looking at wounds, but Miami plays a lot better at home, and this is the two top teams in the AFC along with Kansas City. I don't trust anybody in the North. If Baltimore is going to have any type of season, they probably have to win in Pittsburgh this week. If they don't, then that division is going to be terrible. And whoever comes out is going to be one and done anyway. But Jacksonville, like they got their mojo back. I think Jacksonville and the Texans are getting better, but I think the Jacksonville start to play better and take that division over like I think they would, like I predicted, and win the division. So I do like Jacksonville to win their division. I like the Chiefs to win their division because I refuse to trust the Chargers. I don't care what they do. They'll figure out a way not to win the division and get in the wild card. That's the Chargers. They have to go on the road. The Chiefs barely beat the Jets, and Zach Wilson played good. That is giving me an indicator that as bad as he played, he just cut loose and played with confidence and played like he was at BYU. And if you could do that with their Brees Hall and the weapons they got, and that defense is really good. There's a bad penalty on Sauce. He shouldn't. It's a ticky tack, but you don't touch the guy at the end of the game. You trust your technique. Get off the field. You might have got an interception. Get off the field and then come down the field and win the game, and you'd have been 2-2. CJ Mosley dropped a pick six, so they made a couple of crucial errors as good as they played. And even if as bad as Mahomes played, and he didn't have a good game at all, he's always going to get you that clutch drive, got him 3. And then the final, I think it was a 16-play drive to take off the last 7 minutes of the clock off to finish the game off. That's what champions do. You don't give them an alleyway to win. You take that away, you jump on them, and you make sure they don't win because even if they play bad, the Chiefs found a way. This is what is concerning about the Chiefs. They have to get a receiver to go along with Kelsey. Kelsey's doing good, and you thought Sky Moore. Sky Moore has to be a little better, but Pacheco's outstanding. I mean, Pacheco was just. They have a great running game. Their defense is a lot better. Their defense is a B- defense that could even move up even higher potentially because their pass rush was really good. Pacheco had 115 yards. They're getting that in between the tackle, hard-nosed running that helps because you don't have a Tyreek Hill and you want Kelsey to be able to get through the zone without being triple teamed. But Sky Moore has to play better, or they have to. There's no receivers on the market they could trade for, I don't think. So Sky Moore and Watson and Gray and Kadarius Toney, which they use a lot, which they do a good job of using him on those little jet sweeps. But if you could find a receiver that could kind of go down, stretch the field a little bit, which gives Kelsey that little 20, 25-yard pass, he likes to get into the zone, into the middle of the zone, deep down the field. Now you could kind of do that if you could get receivers that you could trust. So that's going forward. That's going to be important for Kansas City, and their defense got to get a little better. I like the pieces, but I got to see more because you're going to play the Eagles, and you're going to play the Chargers twice. And you're going to play some offensive teams, and I'm going to be very curious to see how that defense holds up. If things don't go well in the offense, now the defense got to win the game. Can they do it? They almost did it against the Lions, but the Lions were able to get that one crucial score. Can they get the stops? They got the stop against the Jets, but that was Zach Wilson, who played good, but not, he's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers would have probably won that game yesterday. So there you have it. That's the AFC picture. All right, in the NFC, the Cowboys and the Niners took care of business. I knew they were going to win the easy games they had. Cowboys won 38-3, and the Niners won 35-16. The Cardinals, I was that one-hit wonder week last week. But I want to really focus on the Eagles. I'm concerned. Are they with the Cowboys and Niners? Now, listen, they're undefeated, and the Cowboys do have a bad loss, but is this team constituted to play with the big boys, the Cowboys and the 49ers and the Lions? I'm going to throw the Lions. I know people are reluctant. I am, because they're going to be a tough out when the playoffs come. But the Eagles, they're down 17-7. They make a comeback. Jalen Hurts is fine, 25 of 37, 319 with 2 touchdowns. He threw a bomb to A.J. Brown. And then the Skins come right back down the field. And see, they need Blankenship at safety, the Eagles, because when he's not out or he looked injured yesterday, losing C.J. Gardner is a problem. Their secondary is a little thin with that loss. It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, Bradbury will do what he has to do, but the front seven is ridiculous. So linebackers are underrated, but you got Cox and Graham and Riddick getting after you and Cunningham. So they did, but they didn't. I mean, for whatever reason, Washington gives them trouble in Philadelphia. And Howell was good, and they tied a score. And this could have cost them the game in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts, and they said they should have just ran the clock down. They could have, but they go for the bomb. All right, they scored a touchdown. They're down. They're up 7 minutes, 43 left, and A.J. Brown commits a stupid taunting penalty, which gave the Redskins a shorter field to deal with, and they were able to get the ball down the field, get the ball in the end zone. And I was ready to light A.J. Brown up. I'm saying he's a GOAT and all that. He was a hot mess. But the Eagles took care of business in overtime, and Devontae Smith caught a nice 9-yard pass, and they kicked a game-winning 54-yard field goal. Jake Elliott, Mr. Clutch, and they win. But this is my concern. I like how they run the ball, but other than going deep, the passing game's got to kind of get in motion. I love Swift, 56 yards, and Gainwell. But what I would do, I would trade for Jonathan Taylor, because now I got a monster running back, and if he's healthy, to go along with if you have to trade a Gainwell. But if I get Swift and Taylor in the backfield, Hurts doesn't have to run much, and what you have to do, because of the way the Eagles run, now those safeties creep up. And now the two-headed monster of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith see man-for-man coverage. And Washington put their best corner on A.J. Brown. They were battling, but A.J. Brown's going to get you. If you're playing press and you're like, I got him, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts going to look at the line of scrimmage, and they're gonna have a play that it's just a go route. And he's going to use his speed and his size. He's going right past you. It's a touchdown. Or it could be the other side of Devontae Smith with his speed, his ability to run great deep routes. So that would really, if you get Jonathan Taylor, that's your McCaffrey. That's your answer to the greatness of McCaffrey, and that's what's really helping the Niners. But the difference, if they get Jonathan Taylor, the difference between the Niners and the Eagles, the Niners can't go deep. The Niners are more 10, 20 yards, let Debo catch the ball 10 yards down the field and get about 40 because he's so strong and fast, and he has such a terrific ability to run like a running back. And Ayuk does that, and Kittles. So they beat you with 100 paper cuts. They slug you and slug you and slug you, and their receivers don't tear the cover off the field, but they don't have to. But when you play the Eagles can do what the Niners can do, and even better if they get Jonathan Taylor. I like Swift and Gainwell; they're solid. But I want to beat the Niners. I think I could beat the Cowboys. I want to beat the Niners. The only thing about the Cowboys is I don't see a good second receiver because Gallup is all over the place. And not having Schultz is bigger than I thought. That was Dak's security blanket inside the 20-yard line, where now they're kicking field goals. That does not work playing the Niners. But I'm curious to see Dallas and the Niners play each other, because now I get I need to see those two teams play each other. Now I have a barometer of who's better, how's that going to work going forward to playoffs. But I'm going to stick back with the Eagles. They need Blankenship healthy, with losing their top corner to the Lions, which really helped the Lions. They need their secondary to play better and shore up. So they're not, because if Washington went down the field with a minute and change left easily, it was a stupid penalty. But anyway, the Niners could do that, because they could just go down with Debo, and hey, they can go down with their assortment of plays and get the end zone, tie the game. And then that taunting penalty from A.J. Brown would cost you if you're playing the Niners, because the Niners, when the toss they go on that field, maybe scored it, and now you're screwed. So if I'm Mike Sinceri, the coach of the Eagles, I'm pulling A.J. Brown aside, because he was yelling at Hurts, and they're cool. They worked it out because they're friends. But he's yelling at Hurts when he didn't get the ball. Now they're overdoing it, trying to give him the ball. They're coming at it offense. And he made a stupid taunting penalty at the end. When you score, I don't care how much talking you guys do. When you score, give that ball to the official, cheer your defense on, and get out of there with a W. That could have really cost them, but it will if Sinceri doesn't get a hold of that and talk to him like, listen, you can't do that. I love your passion. Keep doing what you're doing, but you can't do that anymore. You just can't, because you're going to hurt the team. And I know you love this team because you wanted to come here from Tennessee. You tell them that way, and maybe that works, because that could be a problem if it's not nipped in the bud. And I just got it. AJ's got to know that. But if he doesn't, the teammates, Hurts, coach, somebody's got to say something, because that could have cost them. College football. All right. The Colorado Buffaloes and USC, they put on a show. Now, USC came out smoking, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be another annihilation from Colorado. How do they psychologically recover from the rest of the season after getting beat up by Oregon? But this could have went Colorado's way. This is the problem. Colorado started out bad, and they made a mess of things after USC scores right away. Marshawn Lloyd, who's very good. I know Caleb Williams good, but let's give running back Marshawn Lloyd some credit. They score 7-0, and Colorado comes down, drives down, and they don't score. All right, they're just going to kick the field goal, make it 77-3. AJ Philly misses. And now, between the punter and kicker, Deion's going to have to bench both of those. AJ Feely's son, misses an easy 40-yard kick. And he's just missing kicks all over the place. Okay, you got to sit now. All right, I've seen enough, and it cost them. And USC came right down the field. Caleb Williams and Taj Washington, 71-yard touchdown. Then a punt block, and all of a sudden it's 27-7. And it was then it was 34-7. They're just Caleb Williams is going clean off. Um, Rice scored, and they were just scoring all over the place. But the comeback that I'll tell you, the comeback that Colorado made was a big time touchdown at the end of the half by Sanders, and then Caleb Williams, Brendan Rice, and then Caleb Williams tacked on some more scores to make it 48-21. And Colorado's barely hanging in there because they can't stop USC. So they finally caught up after Caleb Williams did throw a bad pick, and now they come back and make it a comeback. So they scored the last 3 touchdowns. And if they get the onside kick, I agree with Deion Sanders. They come back and tie the game, probably win it. But the block punt and the missed kick was so costly, it set them back so bad that hurt Colorado. But USC played, the offense played great. I want to see USC and Michigan in the finals, but if they don't shore this defense up, I see like the interior player from the transfer from Georgia is good, but I see playmakers, but they just can't put it together, man. And a lot of USC fans were ticked off after this game. They're like, fire Grinch as the defensive coordinator. Come on. And what they did, Lincoln Riley brought him over from Oklahoma. He's terrible in Oklahoma. Why are you bringing him over here to USC to be even more terrible? That's going to cost them. They might not even get the playoffs because you got Utah, you got Oregon State, you got some tough games coming up. But Colorado, this was a good confidence builder. And I don't like moral victories, but they needed this comeback because if they get to 7 wins, I looked at their schedule, or 8 wins, and they get to a bowl game, and with Travis Hunter and Charlo Sanders and their other defensive back coming back, if they could get to 7 or 8 wins and win a bowl game now, not only, of course, I see the celebrities on the sideline, that's good, but they're only number 72 in recruiting overall. They need to get up to about 40, but they'll get their transfers, but they need to up that a little bit, and you can't be 12th in the Big 8 in a 14-team league in recruiting. You got to get to about 7. So Deion and his crew got to work the recruiting trail, get those big uglies up front on both sides, get you some edge rushers. He's going to have no problems getting playmakers, and he ran the ball better, and he'll probably get a run. He'll that's not the problem. They'll get that because of the way going to Colorado. Deion's a playmaker. They're going to get some more playmakers. They might get some other two-way Travis Hunter type guys because they love Deion. But now his group, his staff, has to go and relate to the big Midwest linemen that'll come there. If you could do that, you got something. But you got to continue. And another thing that's going to be very important for Deion going forward, Shedeur Sanders he's going to be a terrific pro because he's got all the intangibles. He'll stay another year, so you're going to have a chance to really be good another year. But you're playing a long game. When Shedeur leaves, you got to get a guy that you might not get a Shedeur Sanders, but you got to get a solid, very, very, very 4 to 5 star quarterback to run your system. You can't have any drop off at the quarterback position because you're going to have playmakers. So there's different things he has to do, but they look like they're on the right track. They're winning. They play USC tough. They had that one hiccup against Oregon, which I figured they're kind of calming down, not as much hoopla with the talking and just playing. That's going to be important going forward. You don't need that. Everybody knows you're pretty good right now. We don't know how great you are, but USC, they got to play some defense, dude. That's ridiculous. And Georgia could have lost if the Auburn defensive coordinator wasn't as incompetent. I know Brock Bowers is great. I want Brock Bowers on my Steelers. I want to move up, trade up, do whatever you got to do to put him on this team. I know we already got a tie. I don't care. Whatever you got to do, you play him at receiver. Whatever you got to do to get this superstar, you get him. Now, the problem with Auburn is a couple of times they were singling him, and every time Carson Beck was a third long, Brock Bowers was always open. They never took that option away. All the way down the field in crucial situations for a touchdown. They never made him look to another receiver. And going forward, better teams are going to play a lot better and smarter. And Carson Beck is going to have to find somebody on 3rd and 12. In those situations, they might triple team Brock Bowers. I would do that and dare the other guys to beat you. And just watch out when you see maybe a Alabama or you see a Michigan or teams where they're more better players and more competent coordinators. That I'm curious to see if they go all in or just completely taking out Brock Bowers, give him the Tyreek Hill treatment. But Auburn didn't. I saw it. They had a safety, and he's trailing the entire game, and they refuse to make the adjustments, and Georgia moves on. Okay, the Canelo fight. I was mildly impressed, and I did pick Charlo. That was wishful thinking because I kind of knew Canelo would win if he still had it. I didn't know if he still had it, but he did. But Charlo didn't compete, and he got the bag. He moved up 2 weight class instead of waiting and fighting his normal weight class, and maybe winning a big fight and then going after Crawford, which maybe he has a little better chance because that's his weight class. Still going all the way up, getting paid. He got paid. And he stuck and moved and got out of there with a loss. He got knocked down once, but he wasn't going to get knocked down. He was getting out of the way. He threw a couple punches, but he got out of the way. Took some body shots, got out of the way. Took some body shots because Canelo usually starts slow. And I actually thought that when Canelo saw how timid Charlo came out, he's like, okay, screw it. I'm not gonna wait to see what kind of punches he's going. I'm not gonna throw any punches. So he just said, okay, I'm gonna bang out a win. He banged out a win, just banged to the body, hit him in the head a couple times, got out of the way of some of when Charlo did want to punch, telegraphed a couple rights, got out of the way. He continued to go to the body and then collected the W. Now, you're gonna get hyperbole when you deal with Canelo because he believes he's a king of way on top of the throne, high above all the contenders. And if they're worthy enough, maybe this was a clout chasing fight. So he did see, and he does have, and I hate to hate because he's a great fighter, but he does like fighting guys lower weight and then getting that glory off of that and doing a little clout chasing. Because you had DeAndre and you had Benavidez. You have Benavidez, the Mexican monster, is the most obvious fight, but he chose that. He turned around and said, "Hey man, if I fight like this, then nobody can beat me." Oh, really? Go fight the Mexican monster. And if you fight like that and beat him, I'm going out my way. I'm saying this guy's one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time. Because in my mind, Ricardo Lopez is the greatest Mexican fighter to ever live. He was power, he was excellence, he was boxing ability, he was defense. Now Canelo showed defense, but Canelo could be flat-footed because you look at how easily Bivol beat him and how easily an older Mayweather beat him. Bivol's bigger, so okay, you don't want to go and fight the light heavyweight. I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with you acting like Ben Benitez doesn't exist. The Mexican monster is a monster, and he's going to beat DeAndre. I know Canelo's probably hoping DeAndre gets him, but if he beats him up, it's a good fight, but he beats him up in the later rounds, he's going to call Canelo out. And I'm assuming because Canelo desperately wants Crawford to go up about 40 pounds to fight him. Because if Crawford don't fight, I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo challenges Tank Davis. Be like, come on up here and I'll beat you, and I'll tell everybody I'm the greatest fighter to ever live. That's him and his team's mentality. And he's a guy. That's your weight class. The Mexican monster is a super middleweight. You're a super middleweight. He's going to be the mandatory after he beats DeAndre. What are you going to do? I'm not fighting the man. I'll give up my title. I'm going to fight Crawford or Tank Davis or shoot. I wish Shakur could get us some weight on him. I'd fight him too. That's their mentality. And then you'll run in clout chase, say, hey, I'm the greatest. I beat these little guys, man. Come on. No, you fight the Mexican monster. You beat the Mexican monster. I'm going out my way to tell you how great you are because that's the guy. Everybody wants that. I know you're afraid to not have the love for Mexico when you lose to another fellow Mexican fighter, but take the chance. Because if you win, you know how much credit you know, all-time great status. You go to the body, see if that works. But now there's a risk because his punches are different. He goes to the body, and you can't take rounds off. He didn't take rounds off against Charlo, where there was no action because he took rounds off and Charlo's getting out of the way. So there was no action a couple of times. And you can't do that. Now, I'd give him credit for the fact that he did go into a higher altitude and it looked like he was in a little better shape. But I want to see the Mexican monster. I don't want to hear no excuses. And I don't want to hear all this hyperbole about your greatness and nobody can beat you when you fight like that. Okay. Call out the Mexican monster and show me that nobody could beat you at that weight class, the real super weight class. Stop trying to fight these little guys.